Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, neighbors, lovers, and others. So good to see you tonight. It's another episode of Barron Landscapes, and we're going to be going on the air live in just a few minutes. We'll see you then. Hi, Sissy. How are you? It's good to see you tonight. See you in person pretty soon. Well, I mean, video in person. Well, hey, everybody. How are you doing? You're looking good to me. Some things have changed around here. And, what? There's a... What? Did I get it? There's... A thing is telling me there's a fly on my head. Is it gone? Blake, is it gone? Is it still there? Oh, it's a fly. You guys didn't expect Sirius at this point, did you? How is everybody? It's good to see you. I brought some show and tell. These are some really wild things. This is from a little shop that we really love to go to over in Washington State. It's over in Ocean Beach, Long Shores. Long Beach. I was so close. And it's called Jake's. And if you ever get a chance. What? Marshes. Jake's. Jake is the mermaid. Anyway, they got a Fiji mermaid there, and his name is Jake, and it's Marsh's Emporium, right there on Long Beach, Short Beach, what is it?
Long Beach.
Long Beach. And so, really weird starfish. We've got some strange things all over our house. This is one. We have some fetishes that we got from a voodoo prince down in New Orleans, and I'm going to set the starfish over here off stage. And this is one of my absolute favorite pieces. This is a Pisiton, fossilized, an oyster, basically. It's a big black oyster, and he's fossilized. He is roughly 45 million years old. So it's amazing to hold something that is 45 million years old. And you hear that? We don't know, Blake. Blake says, what's in it? That's bothered Grad ever since we got him. And we don't know what's in it, and we're never going to break it open. It could be a pearl. It could be a big black pearl. We just don't know. There are stranger things in this world, my friends. Just going to set him over there off stage. I hope you're doing good. I hope everybody's doing well. In case you're wondering, it's Friday. Just telling you that. It's getting harder and harder to track those days, track those weeks, and track those months, isn't it? I think right now we've all got an impeccable sense of time, probably because we're coming up on presidential elections, and so we're all very aware of how many weeks and days and so forth. If you're wondering, 24 days, 13 hours, 24 minutes, 82 microseconds. Anyway, I'm lying. I don't know. But not long. But everybody seems to know when Friday is these days. This is, hang on just a second. Last week I had the Pacific Northwest Totem mask on because I was the masked magician. And this week I have my raven cup. And you can tell he's the raven because in his mouth he's got the fire and he's going to grab the sun in his beak because, so the story goes, the raven brought the sun and the fire down to earth to men. And I just happened to be a raven. So this is my cup now. It was Athena's dad's cup, so it's...
no, that's one we found in the...
Oh, well. So there we go. I'm going to set the raven over there. Keep an eye on him. Don't let him steal the sun. What a weird show tonight. So it's Friday. It is the 9th of October. And we've got some stuff to cover. It's been a weird week. I think it's been a weird week for everybody, but it's been a weird week here for us especially. Cancel culture. Tonight's show is called Let Them Eat Cake because something happened last week. A magician released a magic trick through a company that marketed it. And in the marketing video, and I haven't seen it. They took the marketing video down before I got to see it. So everything that I've heard is secondhand, which were... Chill. Which we're going to talk about tonight, secondhand information. I suggested everybody watch a documentary, and the documentary is called Speaking Frankly, Cancel Culture. It's CBSN documentary, but you can find it on YouTube. That's where I found it, was on YouTube. And we watched it because tonight's show, Let Them Eat Cake, is about cancel culture, and we'll discuss what that is. But last week we saw this magician release a piece of magic, and in the video, and from the still photos that I saw, he's got his hands around a girl, and his hands are on her butt, and he's like pulling some playing cards out of her back pockets. And apparently somewhere in the video, and this is secondhand information, apparently somewhere in the video, something is said like, this will definitely get you a date, or this will definitely get you the girls, or whatever was said about the trick. It's a card trick. And it's called cake, which is why tonight's show is called Let Them Eat Cake. So as soon as the video went out to the magic public to sell this piece of magic, this cake, it was brought to the attention of the producers, the people marketing the effect, that perhaps it was not cool for today, that maybe not showing a magician laying his hands on a girl's butt or whatever, maybe that was in poor taste. And immediately upon hearing that, they pulled it down, they issued an apology. But it's really interesting what's happened in the meantime. So in the meantime, there's back and forth snickering and bickering between magicians, and some magicians are of the opinion that, hey, it's all in fun. If I do a card trick and it's a date card trick, then that's up to me and the person I'm doing it with. Some of them say, well, look, it was an advertising video. Obviously, everybody's getting paid. It was scripted. So it's not like the girl in the video was surprised. But some people were offended, and they took it down. And now magicians are just crossfiring. Let me reiterate. This was last week that it was put up and taken down within a 24-hour period. Put up, taken down. This week still, there's bickering back and forth between magicians in the magic community. The originator of the piece of magic, Jabrizi, who doesn't hold great favor in the magic community anyway because he does his stuff on YouTube and he does cheap exposures and he does very staged street magic with people that's coached. You can tell it's coached. And he's not a magician's magician. He doesn't appeal to magicians. But I've got news for you. The millions of followers that he's got on YouTube, they're not looking at him as a magician. They're looking at him as Jabrizi, the artist that does whatever it is he does. And these days he's doing cute little pranks. He does one that I really enjoy where a girl is doing dishes and she finishes the last dish, dries it, and as she's putting it away, he slips another dish into the sink. And she turns around and sees the dish and she's like, what? And then she washes that dish. Then they repeat this several times, about 4 or 5 times. And she's like, what is going on? The last dish that she puts away, he puts a big, beautiful bouquet of roses in the sink. And she turns around and it's like, oh, come on. And she walks around the bar and sees where he's hiding and the gig is up. But he's tricking her, one person, for the humor of the rest of us. But I think it's really telling the way that he finishes up is with that big bouquet. Mm-hmm. That's like a, thank you for playing along, my lady. Here you go. And he's a pretty crass guy. He's from the hood. He literally lifted himself out of the ghetto doing what he's doing on YouTube. He's got millions of followers, hundreds of thousands of hits. He's monetized his channel. And so that if you look up his net worth, the kid, the last time I checked, his net worth is $2 million. Now, I don't judge anybody on their net worth. You can be a billionaire and be a total butthead, as we know. But the kid grabbed himself from nothing, pulled himself out of the ghetto, has a net worth of $2 million, took care of his family because when he came out of the ghetto, they came out of the ghetto. He got Mama a house and said, Mama, this is your house. Ain't nobody going to tell you to move ever again. This is who the kid is. So, we're still talking about it this week. I predict it's going to go on even into next week. And that leads us into our 25th episode of Barron Landscapes, Cancel Culture. Cancel culture started back in 2017. Last week, I barely knew anything about cancel culture. I had a vague idea what it was. And we decided to dig into it because of this cake thing that we'd heard about. So it started in 2017. And it started as a way for black individuals to have their voices heard and to stop someone from racist verbiage, from their racist vomit coming out of their mouth, whether it be in person or on social media. And with cancel culture, basically what happens is this. And if you watch my wall, and I don't blame you if you don't, my wall is a pretty hairy place these days. But if you watch my wall, this week, somebody called me a retard. They said, what, are you retarded? Now, I knew it was an offensive statement. I am not offended. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all, but I thought, I wonder what would happen if I put the conversation up on my wall for my people, my friends, my family, my fans to see. And I put it up on my wall. And if you watch that event take place, this is what happened. I left his name on it, and I don't normally do that, but I left his name on it. And I left his name on it because of tonight's show. And what happened throughout the week is this. I put it up. People came in to defend me, that it was a horrible thing to say, that it was very offensive, that they didn't care why he was saying it, but that he said it was very terribly offensive. We do not use the word retard. We simply don't. And there he was, boom, putting it out. Now, it had nothing to do with politics. So it doesn't matter what side he's on or what side I'm on. I made mention of something and he spouted out, what are you, a retard? So I put it up on my wall, and friends, and some of you know me, and some of you really know me, friends really took offense at that for me. In fact, some people went and found where the guy worked and said, you know, it'd be a shame if his boss found out that he said this, if we gave this screenshot to his bosses. And I played that down. It didn't happen. But that's not the point. The point is, old Dave, his name is Dave. I actually think it's one of the troll accounts. I don't think it's the guy's real account. So let's not go ruining someone's life that we don't know even that it's him. But it flipped so fast when I put it up on my wall from me saying, well, look at what this offensive guy said to me, to we can shut him down at his job. We can get him fired. If we get him fired, he loses his house, his wife, his kids, his car. We can ruin his life. Cancel culture is exactly that. Started out in 2017 as a way to have voices heard, as a way to say what you did or what you said is inappropriate. Dave Stanley didn't know me. He didn't know that, in fact, retard hits very close to my life, my personal life. It starts out when I was born. I'm a preemie. I guess you couldn't tell that by my size. I'm a preemie. I never did get my full size. I should be like 6'8" and bulked out and muscular. I should basically be The Rock. But when I was born premature. I was born blue. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck. I was pronounced dead and brain dead. And the doctor suggested euthanasia because they told my mom, hey, there's no way that this kid is ever going to be a viable human being. He is going to be severely mentally retarded, brain dead for the rest of his life. You're going to have to feed him through a straw. So the word retarded should offend me, but it doesn't, because here I am against all odds. But cutting even closer, I do have a niece who is retarded. She's got Down syndrome. And from the time of her birth, she was a ball of light, multicolored prism of light. And we knew it was going to be challenging raising her, loving everything about her unconditionally. And as she grew older, I think I was her favorite, Uncle B. And her name is Crystal. I'll spell it for you like she spells it. She spells her name K R
Y
Y Stahl.
S
S Stahl. So she spells her name K R Y S Stahl. Stahl. She can do it. I can't. We were out at a zoo one day, and she speaks fluent ASL, American Sign Language. And she was having trouble articulating thoughts to me as fast as they were coming. And she wanted to get them out so much faster. And so she started ASL. And I had to grab her hands, and I looked at her and I said, sweetheart, Uncle B doesn't speak ASL. I can sign letters. And she put her hands on my face and looked at me and said, oh, Uncle B.
Poor Uncle B.
Poor Uncle B. You're dumb. I got to tell you, in context, she used the proper word. She didn't say I was stupid. Excuse me. It's a wet cough. In fact, I am dumb when it comes to ASL. I can't speak. And that's something we're going to be remedying here fairly shortly, because I hear that's part of your schooling is going to be ASL. So I'm going to learn ASL. More than just signing letters. I want to be able to speak quickly and fluently with people that may not be able to communicate verbally. Cancel culture is all about communication. And I think what we see is with cancel culture, we see a time in our society where in the old days, if we wanted to boycott something, something horrible that a company did would come out in the news. And then it would make national news, and it would go on the broadcast. And it would make it to all 3 or 4 networks. Yes, children, we only had 3 or 4 networks. And eventually, the United States would be angry that this something, which now may have happened 3 months ago, was happening. And then we would boycott that company. We wouldn't use their product, or we might picket with signs out in front of their stores. Excuse me, that one was real. But it took us a while to get to that point while the facts were being found to the point of boycotting these folks. Cancel culture in today's age. And Remember, it started in 2017, but we've got 2018, 2019. We're now in 2020, just about coming up on 2021. Cancel culture can happen so quickly now. If you watched, speaking frankly, cancel culture, you saw a professor and his wife lose their tenure at a college. They were called racist. And if everybody had stopped for a minute and listened, it wasn't at all racist, in my opinion, what they did. In fact, it was very much supportive of people of color, which he and his wife were not. There were a couple of crackers. Ooh, was that offensive? Don't cancel me. And it was taken wrong. Cancel culture went into action. It only took a couple of weeks before their tenure was removed. They were fired from their positions. Huge crowds were chanting at them, go home racist, go home racist. Watch the documentary, Speaking Frankly, Cancel Culture. Watch the documentary and you'll see just how fast this can happen these days. And then this week, one more thing happened that I thought was just hilarious. And I didn't want to do cancel culture because I was already at the point when this happened that I understand cancel culture now. And I've got to say, cancel culture could be a good thing, but if we don't slow down, if we don't really find out what's going on, cancel culture can ruin a good person's life. For instance, there was a gentleman who at the age of 17 did something really, really dumb. Now I want you to think about that. At the age of 17, he did something really, really dumb. At the age of 17, did you do something really, really dumb? Because I know at the age of 17, I did something. Something? One thing? Heck no! I did a bunch of things that were really, really dumb when I was 17. I wouldn't want them to affect my life now that I'm 60. But they could, if cancel culture kicked in, they could definitely affect my life at the age of 60. Think I'm a different guy these days than I was when I was 17? Well, that's what happened to this gentleman. He's a different guy. He was in his 50s by the time the information, what happened when he was 17, came out. And it absolutely ruined his life. He lost his house. He lost his business. He lost jobs. One job after the other after the other. Watch the documentary. So this guy, and we're just going to call him the MySpace guy. This guy came on to a friend's post. I had made a funny, and you know me, my funnies aren't really obvious dad jokes. A lot of the time you got to go, oh, I hope he's kidding. It was very subtle and very sarcastic, and he came on to give me advice about comedy, and I don't think he knows that I had a comedy special because I didn't tell him that, and I did tell him that that was a waste of my comedy training and all those years I spent doing the comedy circuit, all that right down the drain. But the reason we call him MySpace guy is he was giving me all this information on how to be funny, how to be a comedian, and telling me he was such a successful producer. He is such a successful producer and songwriter, and he writes, and he's just this amazing human being. And I should listen to him because he's so successful. So I went over to his profile to check him out, and his website is listed as MySpace. In fact, he's got 4 websites. They're all 4 MySpace. I didn't want to put his name up because I was a little worried about him being canceled. It doesn't take much to cancel someone. So maybe before we exercise our First Amendment to speak out, we consider whether that First Amendment being used for cancel culture is in fact abuse of the First Amendment. It's an awful powerful thing to have somebody's entire life at your hands. That, my friends, is a very dangerous magic. And so I'm going to say this, let them eat cake, but you think about what you do, because what you do not only will affect them, but I guarantee in the scope of the universe, it will affect you as well. When you end someone's life, you owe them a life. Anyway, think about that. It's crazy. So, changes, a lot of changes. And tonight, to demonstrate some changes, I want to talk about alchemy. I am not an alchemist. I want that known right up front. Don't burn me at the stake. Don't hang me or hang my horse. I don't have a horse, but if I had a horse, please don't hang it. In alchemy, two things are required to turn non-precious metal into gold. Only two things. One is a Hermes flask or a pear flask. It's a specially shaped vessel that into goes the philosopher's stone. But the philosopher's stone, so the story goes, is so common, it's all around us, it's everywhere, and we overlook it because of its commonality. But we take the philosopher's stone and put it into the Hermes flask, and we can turn lead or mercury or any base metal into gold. Now, science does this. Science takes metal and turns it into different things. I'll give you an example. This is what we call peacock ore. And this little beautiful piece is called rainbow
Galena.
galena. You got to help me out because I don't have it on my notes, and I knew I'd forget because I'm on camera. This is rainbow galena, and this is peacock ore. Two different materials, but they look very similar. They are minerals given to us from the earth. We call these the twins. And if you can see, these are not carved or shaped. These are actually the way that they're found in the earth. And these are pyrite. This particular pyrite is from Spain. Just liquid, in a special container. Not a Hermes flask, but it is the 21st century. And so this is a Hermes flask of today. And listen, it's sealed quite tightly. This is just raw galena. It's made up of minerals from inside the earth, and I'm going to drop it into the philosopher's stone. Now, let me explain. That's not a stone, it's a liquid. But the philosopher's stone isn't actually a rock or a stone. The philosopher's stone is believed to be either a liquid or a powder, often called philosopher's liquid or powder. I mix mine up myself. It can do some amazing things. In fact, the philosopher's stone is said to hold the secret of youth, health, can cure all ailments, even insanity. The philosopher's stone has some crazy properties. Just 2 magician's rings, the same as any magician has. These rings are different than most magician's rings because these rings are actually just solid rings. Some magicians use rings that aren't exactly solid. These rings have just been treated, you saw, with the philosopher's stone. And so the metal has begun changing. molecularly. It softens a bit. Not getting molten at all, but soft. And what, you ask, what about the galena? The galena that's been sitting in the Philosopher's Stone? Oh, that galena. Well, that galena has changed. That galena is now gold. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I have to be honest with you. We found the Philosopher's Stone. The Philosopher's Stone may just be extended by the internet. We can cancel an individual in a moment, cause their life and their profession to cease to exist. But I'd like to warn you. Thank you to Brian Anderson and Rand Woodbury tonight for the music. Our exit music, our outro music, is from a group called In the Audience. Ladies and gentlemen, when we cancel other people, when we don't use our intellects like magic, just remember, you reap what you sow. And friends, this isn't gold, it's fool's gold. Much rather have a better product than fool's gold. Remember, the magic you put out will come back to you tenfold. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Barron Stringfellow. This is Barron Landscapes. Find us at hashtag Barron Landscapes. We go take the last week's will go onto YouTube tonight. This week's will stay up in your group for a week and then go onto YouTube next week. I think I've got a great show for you next week. I even know what we're going to do. Next week, we are going to be going on a tirade. That's kind of like a parade with ties. But y'all, clock in next week. We'll see you then. In the meantime, watch the videos. Stay healthy. Stay nice. Be nice to each other. Vote. Really vote. We need everybody out there. And we love you. From Barron and Athena to you, we love you. We'll see you next week. What'd you think, Blake?